Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to August 2019. We are here in what I love to affectionately call mirror season for Aquarians. It is when all this energy is in your opposing sign of Leo. I'm a Leo, by the way, and I love you guys. As many of you know, if you've been hanging out with me for a while, I have a really soft spot for Aquarians. You guys are super special to me. But when you have all this energy in Leo, including a new moon on July 31st to kick off August in style in Leo, with Mercury going direct in Cancer, but at the same time as this new moon is happening, we have all this energy in Leo. So we have Mercury will be going back forward into Leo. We have Mars, Venus, and the Sun all hanging out in Leo for the first half of the month. So you can imagine that this is a time of big reflection and being able to see yourself very clearly. I think that's the beautiful thing about having so much energy in your opposing sign. It really gives you the chance to see where things are working and where they're not, because there's this effect that happens when the energy is working with you in that oppositional way, where it allows you to have clear eyes on where you want to put your energy, where you're sabotaging yourself, and that can be on really subtle levels. You know, when we talk about sabotage, I think sometimes we worry that we're like doing these crazy, like repeated patterns. A lot of times self-sabotage can be really subtle and actually quite easily adjusted. It's little habits, little sleep habits, little communication habits that you can start to implement quite quickly if you're noticing them. And so Leo season for you guys is a really great time to check in with that. We also have Jupiter going direct in Sagittarius this month on the 11th. Which will be really nice for getting that oomph back into making decisions, moving on things, having that expansive energy, and it's really playful with your Aquarian energy having Jupiter and Sagittarius, so that's going to be really fun. And as we move into Virgo season, we're also moving you guys right along into your transformational time where you're shedding a skin, where you're changing shape, where you are going into some mystical hidden spaces to check in with yourself and to come out with a lot more clarity. And this month as well, you also have your full moon on August 15th. So you can kind of imagine this is a time of rebirth for you guys. This is a time of deep connective checking in. You have a full moon in your sign where you're going to be illuminating your mission statement, who you want to be, how you want to love, how you want to open up, all of that good stuff. And then on August 30th, we have a new moon in Virgo in your 8th house where you're setting your seeds of intention and where you're shedding old identities. And of course, your shedding will continue into September. We'll be talking about that next month. This month, though, it's about seeing clearly what you love and value. Justice, very interesting. And this is also a great time to just think, you know, for you, especially if you're like an Aquarius sun and your birthday's in January, February, this is a great chance. King of Swords, hey. Lots of fairness, lots of clear-sightedness going on with those energies that we just pulled. This is a great chance to check in. You know, it's the counterbalancing energy. So this is a great time to think about where you've come over the last 6 months and where you want to go next. August is a really interesting balancer because the thing that's going on here on the collective level, on the collective energetic level, 6 of Pentacles, is we are now taking everything we learned, especially during July with those eclipses and the Mercury retrograde. We are taking all of that information and we're starting to implement it moving forward. 4 of Swords. Yep, there's a lot of harmony and balance going on. We're really taking some time to take care of and nurture Aquarians. 9 of Wands. Yep. Knight of Swords. That guy's been around a lot in this month's readings, I have to say. I feel like the other thing that's going on, so we're incorporating all this information from the eclipses. This is one of those months where people are saying what they really want and what they're really feeling. People are committing to things, making choices, making decisions, and people are showing up to the table kind of boldly. Ace of Swords, I love it. And so you're not alone, you know, you aren't the only ones that are going through something, but you're kind of going through something different here, because what I'm noticing is that this is a time of culmination. This is a time of deep reflection. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, Queen of Wands, just so I was going to say this. So Queen of Wands is very Leo energy. But when you have all this energy in your oppositional sign, not only is it great for assessing what's working for you, what's not, seeing yourself clearly, having new, fresh vision on what you want to shift. This is also really strong for relationships. This is also a very important time for Aquarians to check in with their relationships, to check in with where it's working. Hierophant, okay. Check in with where it's working. The other thing to keep in mind, Hierophant brought this up, is that Uranus is going retrograde for the rest of the year in Taurus. That happens every year. Uranus retrograde is really nice. It helps us incorporate change. It helps us establish change and make change possible. So that's going to be kicking off as well. But, you know, relationships are important, and the way that we connect and the way we are open and the way we are vulnerable and where we hide ourselves and where we build up walls gets challenged when we're in our mirror season. So for you, you are getting challenged where your sabotage comes when it comes to building walls and where it's about self-defense and self-defensive mechanisms. And what I'm also noticing for you guys is that the cards are showing me that, and I'm feeling through this as I'm thinking about what mirror season means to you and then what transformation season means to you, which is the energies you're working with in August. You have messages, voices, vulnerabilities, things you want to share. Things that maybe you've been keeping to yourself, mulling over, thinking about, processing for honestly the last 3 or 4 months, and especially over the last month or so, that feel really true for you and haven't changed and haven't gone away, as much as maybe you've tried to focus on other parts of your life and other parts of your practices and thinking maybe this thing will just subside, maybe this voice that wants to come out will just go away, and it's still there. And when something sticks with you that long, where it just doesn't go away, it means it needs a voice. It needs to be expressed into the world. It needs a rivulet to open it, right? It's kind of like that water's building up behind a dam, and it's going to burst at some point. And I don't see it bursting here. What I do see, though, is a desire, a deep desire, an aching for good communication and for connection, and there being a need for that. So when I look, these first 4 cards really represent the first half of the month, all the way through your full moon, all the way through Leo season, really. And there's something going on here because all of these cards are very rational. They actually really tap into the part of Aquarians that are very much about understanding things on a very rational, reasonable level and finding those even approaches. But yeah, no drama here. These aren't dramatic cards. These aren't about starting big epic battles or calling people out or destroying something or shifting things around. But they are about an insistent and persistent voice needing to be utilized, right? Maybe you have a Libran in your life. This is very Libran energy, and I know that's possible. But the thing with these cards too is that both of these figures, they're very deeply tied together. They both carry a sword. They both sit and look directly at the viewer with their sword. And that means that there is a truth, an answer, a point of communication that must be birthed into the world and connected in so that you are free and you are not imprisoned by it. You are not imprisoned by the weight of that sword in your hand being unused. So these are clarifiers. These are big truth bringers. So it may be that somebody comes to you and brings you a truth, or it may be that that truth comes out of you. But this is a time where you will find that your voice feels very active and that your desire for good communication and saying what you actually feel and think and telling people where you're hurting or where you're struggling is coming out. I mean, this is very open energy in many ways. Even though it's rational, the thing that I'm noticing with the energy and what I'm picking up is that there's this desire for truth, for conversation, for connection on that level, you know? And what that's doing for you is it's helping you take something in. You know, Six of Pentacles is about even, give, and receive, right? It's about balancing the scales. You know, you can think about that karmically if you want. You can think about that practically. This is often a very practical card about just the reality of like, how much are you giving? How much you're receiving? Are you taking care of your energy? Are you over giving? Are you under giving? Are you holding things back? And this desire for there to be that nice flow, that engine moving through time and space with your relationship specifically is what I'm noticing here. And that's scary. It's funny because, you know, we think, oh, that's what everybody wants. We all want to be in these flowing conversations or relationships. But when you actually get there, especially in romantic relationships or challenged family relationships or other power dynamics at work, those places where we really care, it's really scary to step in and say, hey, this is what I need. This is what I need. And maybe this other person won't give it to me, right? But that's like what is required of having even give and receive, is that somebody has to give, right? But you are figuring out how you feel about that, because whatever is going on here with this conversation, with this truth bringing, it puts you back. It throws you for a loop a little bit, because once again, mirror season's all about seeing clearly, incorporating some things, reassessing. Four of Swords, Nine of Wands really can throw you into that survivor loop, right? Four of Swords is a little more restful. Nine of Wands is survivor mode. It's where you think, I've been honest before, I've said what I've needed before, and then what happened is everybody left. And I was alone. And I felt like my needs and my truths make me unlovable, make me unapproachable, and it's better if I just hold that to myself. That's what's coming up here. And really this can apply. It can apply to romantic relationships, absolutely, but any type of scenario where you feel that you are suppressing a part of yourself, an aspect of yourself, in order to keep the peace or to make it seem like it's okay, is coming up. And you're having to sit there and look at why you feel you have to play a doled down version of yourself in this scenario in order to keep it. Either you're putting that on somebody or scenario and they don't feel that way at all, or you're in a scenario that isn't good for you. Either way, right? Either way, your voice is coming through strong and loud. Because, man, Knight of Swords, Ace of Swords is truth. It's kind of unfiltered. And to be honest, these can be very blunt, cutting energies. Impatient, hungry for results, and kind of lacking tact even, because there's this desire to just have it out. It doesn't have to be that way. But once again, there's just so much air energy going on in this reading, you guys. There's so much communication energy. There's so much of this desire to be understood, to be seen, to have results, to have clarity. These are clarifiers. They give you answers, and you have answers coming in right and left. Like if there are things that you have been kind of waffling on, scenarios that you haven't been sure, does it work for me, does it not? The answers are coming in. There's just a lot of talking. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of clarity. And it kind of makes sense. You know, Mercury retrograde, when it goes direct, the post-shadow phase can still be a little murky, but I often do find, too, that as soon as it goes direct, suddenly those messages and those conversations that seemed really like they were eluding you suddenly just start flowing in, and it's just kind of wild how that happens. So you have this crazy, wild energy just pushing forward, moving forward through the world. Clarity is coming in. Now, it's kind of a stormy, it's kind of an intense time, right? You guys are reassessing, you're looking at stuff, you're having conversations, you're letting your voice out, you're taking care of yourself on that part of yourself that's afraid of being fully seen. And at the end of the month, what we have are some very strong and potent energies coming your way. Queen of Wands and the Hierophant are finishing out your month. Very Leo and Taurus energies, which is really interesting for Aquarians, you know, other fixed signs here. Fixed signs are about sustaining energy, right? Committing to things, understanding growth, choosing to show up. And one of the big themes of August, I think I've already mentioned this to you guys, is committing to pathways. Committing to what feels good, what feels nurturing, what feels like it is building you up. And the Queen of Wands and the Hierophant are here to say that you can have that. All this conversation, all this clarity that's coming in, all this stuff that's kind of waking you up and then having you reassess is doing this amazing thing, which is it is helping you know you are allowed to advocate for what you want, helping you know that you are allowed to commit to the thing you want. That you can have this kind of path ahead. Visionary, strong, long-lasting. That you can start to invest in this path now if you so choose to do so. As soon as the truth comes out and as soon as that voice is shared and as soon as your throat chakra is unblocked, you'll find that you're able to actually put these investments in where maybe it felt very hard to put an investment in. Like every time you tried to before, it kind of would fall flat. It wouldn't really like pan out because there was something that you were holding you back. You know, we can't selectively suppress one part of our emotional or our energetic bodies. You know, if we suppress one part of it, we suppress all of it. So if you have something that's weighing on you, something that you're thinking about, something that you're wanting to shift, and you're trying to push it back because everything's just fine, the status quo is fine, you can live with it, everything else kind of dims down too. So as soon as you release this resistance to sharing this, your ability to get what you want, to get into those relationships, to have those experiences, to have those travels, goes up tenfold. And you'll see that as we get into Virgo season and as we get into this building transformational portal for you guys, that there's something solidifying here for you in a pretty impactful way. These cards are very much about destiny and long-range vision. And yeah, maybe you have some other fixed signs in your life. We fixed signs tend to gravitate toward each other because we understand what it means to sustain. We understand what it means to commit and dive in deep. And that is something to be proud of. You know, there are aspects of yourself that I think you worry. You have to hide, you have to dim down. And yeah, sure, some people aren't going to get your thing. Guaranteed, just guaranteed. I'll tell you right now, like, just forget it, you know, just forget having everybody get your thing. It doesn't exist, right, in this world. And I know you know that, but it's a reminder that you are lovable the way that you are. You are lovable in your fullness. You're lovable in your needs. And honestly, people are so grateful when they realize you actually care. People are so, and not just you, but like anybody. It's like we always think, oh no, if I tell people, they're going to just be like, oh, you need that, you want that, you're asking for that, I can't believe you. And, you know, in knowing that you need something and knowing that you are vulnerable and you feel these things and you're working through these things, people can connect to you. They can love you more deeply. Now, I have a few affirmations for you guys for August because it's such an intense month in the sense that we are really making some investments in August and it's just kind of a big time. So here we go. I am curious and open to the future. I allow myself to trust the experiences that come my way. I am willing to perceive new ways of moving through the world with ease and grace. I am safe. I love you guys so much. I'm really excited for this month. I honestly feel this is a very nurturing, warm, expansive time for you. There aren't destructive energies here, but there are constructive energies. So constructive conversations, constructive moments of vulnerability, constructive choices, constructive internalization of where you're realizing you're holding yourself back, and then big investments and big payoffs. So I love you guys so much. You can find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you there. You can also sign up for my email and all of that. I'm going to be opening up some sessions for the fall, so if you want to know when those open up and be on that list, email me and I'll get you set up so that you can get that one-on-one session with me. All that info is in the description box. I'm wearing my crown from PinkLune and my necklace. You can check out her Etsy shop. She makes beautiful things in the description box. I will leave her link. I love you guys so very much. You're so worthy. I will see you in September. Have a gorgeous August, my friends.